our co-host Dustin,
Hello.
and our guest for today. Two guests. We got John
It's me.
and Josh.
Stoked to be here, guys.
Yeah, the Mars ACLians.
Yep, the two GMs of the Mars ACLians. They're here for today's Week 1 show. It's going to be a great show.
Guys, our name is Achilles' Last Stand, all right? It's not the ACLians.
Oh yeah, you did change it. I forgot.
Achilles' Last Stand. Apologies.
For all you Led Zeppelin fans out
there. Josh, I know your time with us is going to be short, so we'll just ask a couple questions to you right away. And I'll start with how has it's been a year for you now, and how has the whole process been for you?
Definitely an adjustment period. My first auction draft. So there was a lot to get used to there, and then co-running a team is different too. We seemed to come up with a better result this year, maybe because both of us weren't on the auction draft. Too many voices in the room at once.
There's a lot to adjust to in this league because not only the auction, but the positions. If you haven't played a 2-quarterback league before, and there's definitely and we start 4 wide receivers and 2 running backs and a flex
salary cap. Yeah,
it's a much deeper playing experience in most 10-team leagues.
Yeah, the keepers too.
Oh yeah, that's too.
That's a big one. I'm curious to how your guys' dynamic works. I'm sure it's different between every two, co-owners, right? But how does that relationship work?
If I had to describe it, I would say John bounces about 20 trades off me per day, and then we settle on which ones we actually want to pursue.
Okay, nice. John, is that true?
I think this over the years. Well, it's only been 1 year, but I'm more lax. But yeah, no, it's true. I'm constantly looking for trades, ways to make our team better. But fortunately, our team is just pretty good this year, so haven't had to make many.
Sometimes it involves me talking him off the ledge from trying to pull the trigger on.
Yeah, that's probably the most important thing that you can do for John, because John traditionally, he goes through a lot of trades, and then they either all work out or one trade sinks him. So having another voice in his head to just be yo, chill, we're good, or we don't need to make that move is probably the biggest thing you could do to help John, early on.
It's a work in progress. We'll get there. But I think our dynamic's pretty good. We've been practicing wasting time at work for years now, talking fantasy football. So
nice.
It wasn't too much of a stretch to step into the role.
Mm-hmm.
And then, do you guys separately prepare for the draft and then come together? How's that work too? If you want to, as much as you can, you guys want to talk.
Yeah, I mean, for this year, knowing I wouldn't be available, we discussed a few things and then exchanged some documents, compared ratings, and then I gave them a few key players and prices I thought might be good. Kind of went from there, but it all unfolds on the fly, as you know, with the auction draft. Everything can change pretty quick.
Yep, definitely. You got any other questions, Dustin?
No, I just want to say, I do think there's an adjustment period. I mean, you guys were unlucky with injuries anyway last year, but also there just is an adjustment period, learning how to have another voice in the room and learning how to bounce ideas without, overruling or, deferring too much. And I think that's definitely a process that I already see that, it's already better this year. Your strategy seems to be more coherent than in the past. So yeah. I think you guys will be, a lot stronger going forward.
Instead of 2 individual strategies.
Yeah.
Exactly. Definitely have a bit of that going on. Trying to balance the boom and bust with the conservative style.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys
there's definitely a lot more action trades in this league than your typical league too. So that's something to get used to.
And you guys talk constantly, right? This is ongoing.
Yeah, so I would say that we don't talk at all until football season starts, and we're just talking nonstop,
Fall right back into it.
But no, I mean,
that's what football season's good for, right?
Yeah,
It is.
it's true.
but no, with the Hawkinson
Ooh.
pick, like
Ooh.
me and Josh, we were talking about that probably for like 2 hours straight, and then after 30 minutes, we'd be like, all right, let's sit and think about this. I'll call you in 10 minutes. And then we just did that like 3, 4, or 5 times until we finally pulled the trigger. And I got to say, like, it was a good pick. That's what it's looking like. But we went with the biggest potential at that spot because we felt like all the players there were just so questionable.
Uh-huh.
But if Hawkinson panned out, it would be just a huge lift to the team. So
Who would you say pushed for it like first? Like whose idea was it to consider Hawkinson there? Because I know a lot of other people probably weren't thinking Hawkinson would go that high.
I think I brought it up. I can't remember for sure though.
Mm-hmm.
And we discussed it back
All
and
right,
forth
so
quite a bit.
all credit to Josh is what I'm hearing.
No decision is ever the initial suggestion, though. It goes
Sure.
back and forth. We decided on 3 different people, I think, at different times.
Ooh.
And then finally circled back around, I think. And I think the deciding factor was the guaranteed playing time plus top talent at his respective position. It was hard to duplicate at that spot anywhere else or at any other position there.
yeah, no, I got to give Josh credit for it. Like, he kept going back to Hawkinson, and then so I finally looked up a highlight video on YouTube, and I was like, all right, I'm sold. Let's do it. And it was kind of scary, to be honest, because with the rookie tight end history and $12 is a lot to invest, but the dude looks like a beast.
So far, still only 1 week though. We gotta pump the brakes a little bit.
No, John is all in on Hawkinson being like a top 3 tight end right now. I can tell.
He could be.
But John right now is making it more certain in his head than it probably is.
So for trade talks, do we?
We'll sell him to the highest bidder. Who's listening?
do we go straight to you, Josh, or
depends on the day?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, if we don't have any more questions, listen, I think we can talk about the week one. So if you want to go over what we've done, Dustin.
Right. So this is kind of like a way for us to cover games and discuss them, and also look at games coming up for the next week. So what we're gonna do is it's a game it's like an odds making game. We take turns setting a line for each matchup, and the other person that we offer it to has to take one of the sides. So and then we're just gonna keep score all season and see who comes out ahead in this HFFL picking I guess game.
Yeah, so we had a couple. Dustin picked 3 lines and I took a couple, so we'll go through them right now. So the first one was Oakland plus 21, and I took Oakland, which was wrong.
I made you a heavy favorite, but you still covered. But the thing is, if Duho started Matt Ryan, he would have covered actually. So yeah, true. Maybe you're right to take take your his side of that line.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I scored 191.7 points, and he scored 155.8. But yeah, as you said, the Nick Foles injury kind of contributed. What did you guys think, John and Josh? If you guys did you guys have any thoughts looking at other people's matchups, or not at all?
Josh had to drop because he's helping his kid with math.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Okay, bye, Josh. The math is important.
Yeah, to be honest, like, I was very surprised by some of the matchups. I mean, obviously my rankings were completely wrong, which is why my rankings this week changed so drastically. But again, I also think week 1 is hard to really gauge what's happening fully. Like, for example, I look at Diaz's team, and I actually still don't think it's that bad, but that one Packers-Bears game just really killed his chances all week.
It did. Like, right away from Thursday, like, he had like 5 players playing, and he got like 50 points out of it. That's, that's going to take a lot of
and unless
wind out of your sails.
he has like, game-changing performances from at least 3 guys, like it's going to be hard for him to come back from that hole. So again, like I don't think we have enough information, but I do think this year the teams are very evenly matched. I mean, there is a clear higher tier, I think, but that middle of the pack, everyone can win a game. So
Yeah. So
wait,
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, John. Let me ask you. So in 1Q and duos matchup,
yeah,
like so the thing that I was digging 1Q for was I thought his QBs weren't that strong for how like compared to the rest of his roster, but Lamar Jackson put up 41.5, and Brissett looked like pretty good too. So like, do you think that's a sustainable strength, or even at least like average situation there, or was it just like a Miami thing? You think with Lamar
so
Jackson?
I mean, the Miami thing does kind of take away from Lamar Jackson's performance a little bit, I think, only because prior to this season, I mean, someone doesn't just get drastically better at passing to that extent.
They could.
And I,
Wait, hold up. He didn't. He was always this good. I don't know what you guys are talking about. He was
no,
always
but
this
all
good
I
at
remember
passing.
is maybe it was the play calling last year then, but towards the second half of the season when he started, all of the Baltimore Ravens receivers who were good under Flacco just started floundering.
Yeah.
And so again, that might have been play calling. I haven't watched enough games to know. But
Sure.
there's no way that if it was due to Lamar Jackson's inability to, be a pocket passer, that he's gonna all of a sudden become an amazing pocket passer. So again, I think if he does break out, his Wonku's QBs can like rotate between those three for his QB2. But it's heavily dependent on Lamar Jackson's growth this year.
Yeah. I will say, when I watched that game, Miami was pretty much putting everyone up pretty close to the line of scrimmage and not dropping a safety back on like almost every play. And Lamar Jackson, to his credit, demolished that game plan. But I think if teams play him more straight up, he'll still be good because he's a very talented runner, and he's not as bad a passer as people make him out to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that was mostly a Miami thing. I think he'll be a good quarterback, but I'm not ready to say like top 5 quarterback the rest of the way. Like some people probably might react to.
Yeah, I'll just keep it short because I'm not gonna take any victory laps week 1. But he hasn't improved because he is already this good. Last year, I mean, you said play calling, but I think what the real issue last year was that they prepared the year for Joe Flacco. All the plays, all the chemistry, it was with Flacco. So when you put a new QB in there, especially someone as different as Lamar, you're going to get some trouble. And so this year with training camp and all the preseason games, you get this chemistry down. Although I guess with with Hollywood, he just on the first game they just synced well together. But anyways, I think that's where the main difference is. He's very good down in the middle of the field. Like he's always been good. And we'll talk about that again later when we go through waiver Mark Andrews. But anyways, let's move on to your guys' game where I said great kills +2. So I thought it was gonna be even between you guys, just because I thought your rosters were pretty evenly matched. And then Dustin took great kills, but that was unfortunately wrong. Where Mars hung up 235.5 fantasy points for the.
I got my butt whooped.
Yeah, essentially, and Great Kills only had 145. So I almost feel like I was wrong as well, in a way.
Yeah, your line was completely off.
Yeah, completely off. Mars, John, you guys have a great team. It looks like after week 1.
Honestly, every week is not going to be like week 1 for us. Obviously, like every single player except for our top performers almost blew up. And, it was definitely nice to see, like me and Josh, we were just texting all Sunday, like, oh my God, this happened. Oh my, look again, like it was just nonstop. But I think the reason why I'm optimistic about the team, though, is that was with subpar performances from Odell, Aaron Jones, James Conner, and even like Russell Wilson didn't have an amazing game.
Yeah.
But I am excited to have Carson Wentz sort of anchoring the QB position. He looked really good, and the Deshaun Jackson connection, I think, is going to be like take him to the next level. Honestly.
Oh, I love Djax.
Yeah.
Dustin, we can
But
talk about. Yeah, go ahead.
I think Eckler looks really good.
Oh
I
yeah,
was shocked at how good he looked.
he's really
And
good.
John Brown was like a sleeper pick that I really wanted to get prior to the season because I think Josh Allen throwing him bombs all year is just his game. And so I think there's a lot to be happy about because my role players have a lot of potential and they all have like volume based opportunities. So
I agree.
So for me, like, yeah, like, all his like shakier wide receivers went off last week. So, obviously that's good to see. But more than that, like, that's still up in the air whether it'll continue or not. But for me, I think the biggest mistake, the rest of the league made was letting Chicago defense only go for $3 in the auction. Like, they have so much talent on that defense, and like, I know you shouldn't invest too much in a defense like replicating their past season, but like $3 is just way too cheap. Like there's just a good scheme there, good talent. So I think someone should have like went in on him, but like everyone pretty much was just holding tight, and then he got him for 3. So I think that's going to be an advantage for John this whole season. So whether the wide receivers all keep it up or not, like he should be above average team, I think.
Yeah, it helps to have Khalil Mack on that defense. Yeah, I like John's team a lot. I think. I mean, he mentioned most of the star players, the Eckler, the Wentz, right? I think it's
Yeah.
just. I think it's loaded, pretty balanced.
Mhm.
Not many holes. On the flip side, Dustin only with 145 points here.
Mhm.
Uh, what's
I
going on?
mean, not everything, played out the way we hope it will. Like even Zeke, like he wasn't like, full unleashed Zeke, so we're not too worried about that. There definitely is like a concern with our last wide receiver spot though. But hopefully that's something we can patch up. And I do like the rest of our team. I think we'll have much better days out of our running backs. It just wasn't the right week for them to go off. So I'm not too worried yet, but it wasn't an ideal start for sure.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned about your running backs, but what about Baker?
Yeah, the O line is a little bit worrisome, but I like he actually wasn't that bad until the fourth quarter where he started trying to force it. Like he threw like
Yep.
2 of his picks like in the fourth quarter when they were down like 14. So like up until at the end of the third quarter, he was like still 20 of 26. He was getting banged up a bit, but like his like completion percentage was like pretty high, and he was still. I mean, he wasn't sharp. He threw some off target passes that could have been picked earlier too. So definitely not a good game for him. But Titans are a tough defense, and I do think it'll get better for him, even with the questionable O line. But the questionable O line is a little bit problematic for sure.
What'd you think, John, when you were facing this?
no, I mean, yeah, Dustin's top players didn't perform,
Yeah.
and Zeke, thankfully, he didn't get as many snaps as he would, and that offense, like Dak was just so on that they didn't need Zeke to do any heavy lifting anyway.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
by the time the game was over, like I'm sure they didn't want Zeke to get injured, and Tony Pollard took over. So,
yeah,
um, but yeah, I think he definitely needs another receiver. Just having Gordon and Cup, they're not going to hold it down if they're one of his receivers puts 1 point, uh, and obviously Devontae Freeman. I didn't see that game, but I think there's going to be some inconsistent performances there potentially.
Yeah.
But typically he is pretty solid, so we'll see if that's something to be concerned about. But again, week 1, so and it was against Minnesota too, so.
Yeah, 10 targets, 7 yards. Not a good line. Not a good line.
Yeah, but I mean,
that
I
was
placed
that
a
was
big. The
painful.
reason why I ranked his team so highly initially was
Oh,
I
yeah, yeah.
placed a big stock on running back talent
Sure.
because it's so scarce. And Gurley, Zeke, and Devontae Freeman is just a crazy running back trio. And at any point, if wide receiver becomes a problem for him, he could probably downgrade his like Devontae Freeman to like a serviceable RB3 with like 2 great wide receivers. So, um, that's why I think he initially was good until I whooped his ass.
So I forgot that Gurley was on your team because I just forgot, and that's shocking, right? He got 11.6 points. How are you feeling about Gurley?
He actually looked really good,
He
like
did.
when he was in, and he was in for more snaps than I actually thought he would be. But for this game, at least, anyway, like Malcolm Brown got the 2 touchdowns, which if Gurley even gets like one, that's a much better day for him. So I mean, I hope that like Malcolm Brown at the goal line isn't going to be like a thing, but I am encouraged that Gurley looked like he was like exploding through holes, like cutting well, like. So I don't like. I think for now, like he's not like that diminished as a player. It's just more about how they'll use him like around the goal line and stuff, because obviously he needs a lot of touchdowns to be the beast that he was. But it is week 1, so we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, let's move on. We spent already a lot of time on both of your team, you guys' team. Capital
Makes
Region
sense.
-15 was Dustin's line, and I took Capital Region, and it was true. That was a really good line, by the way. So Capital Region
Yeah,
scored.
no, that one was actually pretty accurate. I saw.
Yeah, scored 215.2, and then the Flushing, what is it, Bobbies? They scored
Yeah,
198.2. Uh, yeah, Pat Mahomes. My God,
yeah. I mean, yeah,
the stack with Sammy Watkins too.
yeah. Tyreek Hill
Disgusting.
going out, really lets that stack flourish for a while. So I mean, yeah, like I know everyone's like saying it, but like it does look like it's Ken's year so far. Like a lot of things are falling into place. Like, he had Breida and like Coleman got injured. Just a lot like shaking out well for him. So yeah, I think they have to be considered the early favorites for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't need Jameis here. He's got Dak on the bench. Dak is looking
Hmm.
really good. Of
Yeah,
course, he's got his stars, DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Evans. Mike Evans didn't do much, but that's,
yeah,
again, Jameis's fault. But he'll improve. There's no way
yeah,
that doesn't. And his keepers, Kamara, Pat Mahomes, it's insane. Um,
yeah,
Flushing.
yeah. What'd you think of Flushing? I mean, everyone knows what everyone thinks of Capital Region.
Yeah, what you think, John?
Flushing surprised me a little bit. I mean, they have the potential. I mean, his wide receivers are strong. I mean, Le'Veon was a question mark, but I think after game 1, it's clear that he's definitely going to be a consistent RB1 for the whole season. And Deshaun Watson is just he's a top
God,
3 QB, and he's just so
baller.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and Mark Ingram actually looked really good too. So I think that was a really good pickup for him. So I think again, like he's got consistent players. Like again, I place high stock in RBs, and Le'Veon, Ingram, and Damian Williams as his RB3 seems like a very strong RB core, and his receivers are going to be pretty good every week. So I think he's definitely got a strong team, and he's in the that showed in my rankings this week.
Yeah, can't be sleeping on this team. This team, as you said, the running backs look really good. He's got the 2 wide receivers there, Keenan Allen, Adam Thielen. And Cortland Sutton looked pretty good too.
Yeah,
Even though,
Sutton. I want to say like Sutton looked like
yeah, he looked legit.
pretty involved, pretty big. Like they couldn't stop him, even though he was getting like a lot of targets on a couple drives. I think he got like consistent targets, and they knew that like they were looking for him, and he kept coming up with catches. And the Broncos defense is I mean, sorry, the Raiders defense was like pretty good at like shutting down like everything else. So he could be breaking out this year.
Who's got the better QBs? Is it Deshaun Watson, Kyler Murray, or Pat Mahomes, Dak Prescott?
um,
It's
I think you
close,
got to
that's
right?
go for
actually
Mahomes and Dak though.
That's actually pretty interesting, though.
I think it's close.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is closer than you would think. It depends on how if Dak keeps this up,
Yeah, it
then
needs
I
to
guess it has to be
Mahomes and Dak.
yeah. But I mean, Kyler Murray, the volume that he's gonna have, I think is gonna be pretty good for him. So I wouldn't be shocked, but yeah, you have to go with Mahomes, but because of what he did last year, and Dak and Jameis together, I think should be pretty good, but. Yeah, that was an exciting matchup with a lot of good QB play.
Yep. Uh, let's move on. I had the line of Yonkers -15, and Dustin took Harlem. But Yonkers came out ahead 198.6 to 106.9.
Yeah, I put my faith in Diaz, and he let me down.
I think the story was already told earlier about how the Green Bay Chicago game went for Harlem, and I think that pretty much did them in, right? Like it kind of was over almost. It seemed after
Yeah,
that
I
Thursday.
mean, yeah.
But it certainly didn't help where Yonkers had Derrick Henry going off. Both of course the duo of Drew Brees, Tom Brady, they're gonna combine for 60 points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, if a team stops Capital Region, I think Yonkers is my pick, just
Okay.
because they'll have to deal with the Tyreek Hill injury, but like, I think Brady Brady especially, his stock goes up a little bit with Antonio Brown ending up on the team, whether he plays or not. But like, assuming that like he plays a little bit, like I think Brady was very undervalued in the draft, and Breeze is also like Breeze, so I like this team. Like Saquon's just gonna like explode some weeks. Derrick Henry, like it's a very solid team still, even without Tyreek Hill. And then once Tyreek Hill comes back, I do think that they'll try to feed him like a little bit extra to like make up for the time he missed. I don't know if that'll actually be a thing, but I mean, I think Yonkers will be a really scary team down the stretch for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree. It's a very strong team, for sure.
Yeah, no, and I think it's very well balanced in terms of like potential. Like they have guys who, like Derrick Henry, like if he reaches his potential, he could be really good. But then it's balanced because they have Saquon. Like he's got enough talent with different levels, but they all have high ceilings or high floors. And so, I think he has a lot of good a mix of risk. But for Harlem, like honestly, their team looks fine.
Oh,
The danger is just having so many players on the same team. As we saw, like one game could really destroy his chances every week. So um, hopefully, like Aaron Rodgers goes back to his normal level. But at this point, it does look like there are some overpriced players on his team.
Yeah.
yeah.
So the question is would you be panicking if you were Harlem right now?
I would say no.
So
No.
I think the roster looks fine. I would be definitely upset about some of the opportunity cost lost with, giving Kelsey $61, giving Rogers $51. But his RB core is not terrible. It's Fournette, Carson, and then Montgomery. Like that was just a shitty Bears game too. Like he has a chance to become a serviceable RB2 even. And then his receivers are not bad at all. So he just really needs Trubisky to come through.
Yeah.
But Trubisky is going to be like, the Tony Allen of the league for the rest of the season. So, um, he's going to have to deal with that. But Rodgers really does need to play like a top 3 QB for this team to be good.
That's what I was about to say. It's the QBs. That's where I would panic. I think everywhere else, it looks fine to me. But it's really the QBs. If Trubisky doesn't do well and also Rodgers doesn't hold up his end, then it's not going to work out for Harlem.
Yeah, because he has Devontae Adams and Allen
Right.
Robinson. So Aaron Rodgers basically has to be like a top 3 or 4 quarterback, and Mitchell Trubisky at least has to be like a top 15 quarterback. Otherwise, like it'll cascade on to Devontae Adams and Allen Robinson. So yeah, like I wouldn't overreact yet, but it is pretty much all tied together, and it could come crashing down like a lot if Rodgers is actually declining, or if Trubisky just really is regressing. Like that could be something that like ends their season hopes like pretty early, realistically, depending on how that turns out.
Yeah, I would think about getting another QB. At least one. At least think about replacing one. But
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
that's me.
Also,
Yeah.
just from personal experience, when I stacked only Colts, like my
The
team
all
was
cold
destroyed
strategy.
every time the Colts didn't play well, and so I just think he needs to kind of get rid of some of these, like, I don't know what to call them, redundancies
Yeah,
almost,
yeah, yeah.
and that'll help his team be more consistently perform.
Right. Since we start so many players here. Um, with Yonkers, one thing that I wanted to say, they have, so you mentioned the Tyreek Hill injury, but also the Tevin Coleman injury. It's going to be a test of their depth already, even
It
before
is,
the
yes,
bye
true.
week. So,
What
um,
I do like is though they got
yeah,
Tyrell Williams
yep,
like a week early,
yep.
right before it was figured out what
Free
was
for all.
happening.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think that covers it up a little bit. And you're right, they're gonna have to get through like the next few weeks for sure. But I do think that they have really good depth overall. So
Yeah, they have. He has LaShawn McCoy, and he also
yeah,
has Marlon. Is his name Marlon Brown?
not Malcolm Brown.
Yeah, Malcolm Brown. So yeah, his depth. He has a lot of depth. I wouldn't be worried about Tevin Coleman. It's not like one of his top guys are out.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Tyreek is out. That's one of his top guys.
Tyreek is, but at least Tyrell Williams will patch
Yeah.
it up a little bit. No, you're right though. He's gonna have to get through the next, however many weeks. Tyreek misses more so than the Tevin Coleman thing.
Yeah, it helps when you have Saquon though.
Yep, Saquon is
a beast.
so good.
All right, so we'll move on to LIC. Dustin, you gave it an even line, and
Yeah.
I picked Virginia, and I was
You
right.
did.
Virginia with 173.3, and LAC scored 115.5.
Yeah, that one wasn't close either.
That's not close. Yeah, it looked like it was pretty solid contribution for Virginia. So Dalvin Cook, Marlon Mack, they kind of led the way, but the Baltimore defense killing Miami, and then a little bit from the QBs, but mostly it's the work from the running back and the defense here.
Yeah. Yeah, I was pretty low on Virginia coming into the season for sure, but so my question marks were kind of like, how good is Dalvin Cook really, and Marlon Mack really? Because they're talented, but not that proven. Because Dalvin Cook's missed a lot of time, and Marlon Mack hasn't really had like a long stretch of being good. But for week one, I mean, they shut me up pretty good because they combined for like 55 points or whatever. So I mean, if they're legit and for real, then this is actually a pretty strong team. Cousins will have better days. And they'll have to fix tight end because Ebron for 1 point last week is not ideal.
Not
but
great.
yeah, it's a pretty strong team, especially the wide receivers. And then my concerns were the running backs, but they look pretty good. So definitely much higher on them after this week than I was going into the season.
Julio and Juju, yeah, they only combined for 22. So
yeah, it wasn't even a big game for them.
I mean, I think QB is still a concern for this team, though, because the better Dalvin Cook does, it seems like the less volume Kirk Cousins is going to get, too.
True.
Connected. So, and then Josh Allen is going to be pretty inconsistent during the season, I think. And then Darnold just got mono.
Yeah, the mono thing definitely does hurt him a little bit because playing matchups between Allen and Darnold is a lot better than just having to rely on Josh Allen every week. Because I agree, like against certain teams, I think he is going to struggle because he isn't a polished quarterback yet. And mono it could. I mean, he's out like probably at least a month, and he could be affected for far longer than that. So that does really suck.
Any concerns about Juju? Or you think it was the New England defense?
I think New England's defense is their secondary especially is so good, and like people don't realize it because New England had like a shaky defense like a couple of years ago, but they've really like got a ton of talent on that side. Even their like third cornerback is better than most teams like starting cornerback. So yeah, I think it was more of a Patriots thing. Like they just game plan to like keep him from getting anything too easy and like try to make Moncrief and whoever else beat them, and that was obviously a very good strategy because Moncrief can't catch anything.
Yep. All right, well, let's move on to LIC just because of time here. They scored only 115.5, and I believe that's the poop, and I think it has to be because if I'm looking at this correctly, none of his players...
Diaz got the poop.
Oh, sorry. Oh, none of his my bad. Sorry, Warren. None of his players scored over 20.
Yeah, it was pretty low scoring across the board for them.
Yeah, I mean, he basically had the worst performance, I think, from his top players. That this is probably the floor for his top players. And I mean, I was higher on this team coming in. There was a drastic drop in rankings. But again, like for me, it was the running backs like Chubb, Mixon. I didn't realize that I think Mixon got hurt though. That's definitely not going to be consistent with the season. And then he just had a lot of like for his third running back spot, a lot of depth. It seemed like Jordan Howard, Kenyon Drake, like those guys aren't going to be good, but they're going to get enough volume to be useful at the third running back spot. But I think the problem really is QB, because I don't know if Cam is really going to be good this year, especially just giving all the volume to McCaffrey.
Yeah, have you seen him? It was disgusting. Like he was missing by miles. It's got to be his throwing motion or shoulder or something. Like it's just he's way out of whack. We'll see.
Yeah,
In a little
he
bit,
said
but
he was
wow.
like healthy, but like he definitely didn't look that, he just looked bad. Like and Warren paid $34 for him, so like if Cam Newton is like not healthy, then that's a pretty big overpay considering like what price a lot of other quarterbacks went for.
Yeah, he's got good luck with paying for QBs with shoulder problems, so it might end up working out at the end.
True.
But right
Yeah,
now,
but then
my
also
God.
his third QB is Jimmy G, and Jimmy G looks god awful too.
Yeah.
That's true.
So I think QB is definitely a need for this team. Because if any team has like 240-point performances from QBs, then his QBs can't even do like 25. It's gonna be hard.
John, stop trying to peddle your quarterbacks on the show. Everyone knows you have three quarterbacks that you pay too much for.
But I do have some QBs available for any QB needy team. That is true. So.
No, yeah, I do like this team's running backs, Nick Chubb, Joe Mixon. I think there's no way they continue to be combining for 12 points for the rest of the season. But he does have some worries even after the QBs at the lower end of his roster, the WR3 and the flex. I'm not a fan of Jordan Howard on the flex, but that's me, and I'm pretty sure Warren would agree too, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, but he's got well. Hopefully, AJ Green comes back sooner for him.
Oh yeah, that's right. Antonio Brown too. Those guys are on his right.
Oh, yeah.
So he's gonna get
Yeah.
The
only problem is by the time AJ Green comes back, he might be in a hole because he's dealing with like a Mike Williams injury, which he doesn't have the depth to really deal with, and Antonio Brown for now looks like he's playing, but if he misses games due to his situation, then that's really panic time, I think. But yeah, for now, there's nothing they can do other than weather the storm and hope that their quarterbacks play better and can scratch out a couple wins while AJ Green and Mike Williams are out.
Yeah, or trade for a QB.
So before we move on to the next week, just want to go back, rewind a little bit, and talk about Duo's team because I don't think we talked about his team at all.
Okay.
Sorry, Duo, but we're back for you. David Johnson looked good. He was back doing his David Johnson things, and his QB. I mean, yes, Nick Foles, he had that injury. That was unfortunate, but Stafford was amazing as well. So, I mean, at certain points, I was definitely afraid of not playing it out. I mean, honestly, I had some late performances to get me this lead, but it was pretty close, actually.
Yeah, the Hawkinson addition for the Lions, I think, helped Stafford a lot because, he looked a lot more comfortable and, knowing that he can always, have an outlet there, and he's good for big plays, too, so I think that'll help him a lot. Sony Michel won't have games that bad probably again. So I actually do think this team, I'm a little higher on them than, maybe coming into the season because it actually, didn't look that bad overall. And if he played Matt Ryan, it would have been pretty close.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like about this team is I feel like Diggs, Cooks, and Michelle, those are like pretty big overpays. I think he invested $150 in the three of them. And, I think that money could have been spent elsewhere. But it's true that if he started Matt Ryan, he would have, got 20 more points. So
yeah.
But
I mean,
Gallup I think is going to be pretty good. That's what it looks like too. And Jamison Crowder is also a good pick for him. But again, because of Darnold, he gets...
Yeah, the Darnold thing kind of puts it back into question whether Crowder is going to be that productive for the next few weeks.
Right. Yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah, but yeah, Crowder and Gallup, should really give him hope that he might have a couple breakouts in fantasy. So,
yep,
definitely not a too discouraging loss in week 1.
Yeah, I would be encouraged. I would be completely fine with it if I was Dio. everything was pretty good except for the Nick Foles injury and of course, coming out with a loss. All right, so with that, let's move on to week 2. Let's take a look at the waiver. So we'll go just quickly through that. Yeah, I was aggressive.
Yeah, no, I like it. You had the 2 out of the 3 highest bids, right?
Yeah. So my mentality was that I was thinking that a bunch of you guys would be bidding a lot because I thought that the talent out there was pretty good for this week, and a lot of people might be upset that they lost, or might not have thought that their players were not good enough, especially at the tight end position, right? So there were 2 guys that I was really looking at, Mark Andrews and Darren Waller, and they both went for a lot of money, and I think that is correct in our league. I think even with Jared Cook as my starter, quote unquote starter, it still helps to have a pretty good tight end. Jared Cook was all right. I think he had like 5 points, but it wasn't amazing. So I think I was just
and
upside here.
And considering we start like 4 wide receivers, like especially during bye weeks, like even kind of like low end tight end ones are pretty serviceable in that spot, and it gives you the flexibility to play both or play one, or if one gets hurt, you don't have to scramble and like find like a tight end that might give you 7 or like 0 points. So like I did expect people to be pretty aggressive, and I just thought it would be someone other than you, because I think some other teams have bigger holes at tight end. Sure. But yeah, I wasn't surprised at all that Waller and Andrews went for more than the typical 9 or 10.
Right. And then
what do you think about Ronald Jones though? Like
I was about to say,
like he looked good week 1, but Tampa Bay hasn't, like, for the last year it was like pretty ugly there, and he's still sharing the backfield apparently with Peyton Barber, but it did say that they want to get him more carries, so maybe it'll pay off. Personally, I was afraid to guarantee the money on him just because, he did look good, but like how many times have people got burned with that backfield,
Yeah, I mean, that is true, and I think that's a fair concern, but I think I'm just looking at what I saw. I thought he was amazing. He looked like he was much improved from last year, where I was famously very critical of Ronald Jones. But now I have him on my roster because I think he's improved, especially catching the ball. I mean, he didn't catch that many balls, but he looked better doing it. Actually can catch, and if he can really do that for that team, I think he'll have a very valuable role. Even if he splits it with Peyton Barber.
Yeah, no, I really liked how aggressive you were this, because like it's true, like week 1 and week 2 waivers, they can return the most value, because like often it's a guy that breaks out and people aren't sure on, and you get him, and then that could provide you value all year, whereas like after like week 2 or 3, all the guys that you're picking up are like injury, like guys that move up because of injury or anything. Like the talent breakouts happen a lot earlier, so if you identify Ronald Jones as a guy that's like actually got talent, then like 13 isn't a big deal, even if you do end up cutting him. Like just the upside of like what he could be is worth it. So I really like how aggressive you were, and I do think like some other people should have been more aggressive on their tight end bids, but maybe they're okay with what they have.
I felt like people would have beaten me even with these quote unquote aggressive bids. I thought people were gonna go 16 or 19 even on Mark Andrews and Darren Waller. I don't know. I'm a little confused, but that's me. What did you think, John, about those 3?
So I honestly thought that it was way more aggressive than I expected, because I think the league is pretty like risk averse, and to like spend all this money on week 1 to me was a surprise. I thought I would win with some $9 bids. But just going back to the Rojo $13 pick.
Rojo, okay.
He's Spanish.
Jesus.
Rojo.
But I wanted to definitely get either Adrian Peterson or Ronald Jones this week, because I looked at the rest of the RB waiver wire, and it's literally filled with trash.
Garbage.
So I knew if I didn't pick up one of them, like addressing RB through the wire was going to be tough through the season.
Yeah.
So I really did want Ronald Jones over AP, but the $13 bid, I wasn't willing to guarantee the money. But he did look very good. Like he was running way more decisively and blasting through the hole, much better than last season. But with the TEs, like for me, like I think I would have been more aggressive if I didn't have Hawkinson.
Yeah, I wasn't speaking about you. More like some other teams had some zeros or like ones, from their tight ends in week 1, and I was expecting, at least a couple of them to really come out and, like Wonky said, like 16, 17, 18. I was expecting at least like one of those, but it seems like they stayed under our respective 14 and 13. So, I'm okay with that. But yeah,
maybe
I do wonder where their bids, were.
Yeah, I think that's going to be interesting throughout the season, not seeing the bids. I think that's actually going to fuck up the bidding process for everyone a little bit, because every week you like to see how other people bid and kind of strategize, oh, this is what this guy was thinking with this bid. But now it's like truly blind bidding.
Right.
So it's going to be an adjustment. I don't know. Everything's adjustment this season, but I think Andrews and Waller though are going to be good, because not only are they tight ends, but in their team they kind of function as either like almost the second pass catcher. So
I might even think they could be the first option, but
it's possible.
One or two, right?
Yeah. It could also have. I'm just looking at the trade too. David Njoku traded, right? We forgot to mention this.
It's true, yeah.
So maybe that had an influence for at least one of the teams that I thought would go for a tight end in LIC.
That's true. He did get Njoku, so that's a little bit, probably like he spent a lot less fab to get him. So
right.
In some ways that could be more cost effective for sure.
Any comments on that, John? Your Njoku practice squad designation?
I mean, I was forced to trade him essentially, but for the return, like for me, I was gonna drop him either way. But yeah, I don't really have any comment other than I guess I'm just mad at myself.
Sure, that's fine. I mean, I was curious. And along with what you said earlier about the running backs, the other guy that I was intrigued by was Chris Thompson. Where did he go? Like $4 to Harlem. So Harlem was pretty busy as well. They picked up John Ross, the third. Yeah, John Ross the third, and Chris Thompson.
Yeah, they were pretty aggressive. Yeah.
They picked up who else? Carlos Hyde, and they also picked up Jalen Samuel.
Yeah, Samuel thing is really interesting. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that. And does it? Oh yeah, and the practice squad, right?
Yeah. I mean, if Connor gets hurt, then that's a pretty good lottery ticket to stash.
Taking a page from your book, Dustin.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, no, I like what Harlem did for sure. Like they cycled through a lot of garbage on their team to like try to get players that might be on the verge of a breakout. Like Hyde looked pretty good. Like Carlos Hyde, he looked pretty good. Yeah. Chris Thompson, I mean, AP doesn't catch passes at all, so like he could be like a pretty useful, fill in and so forth. So yeah, like I like what they did for sure.
Quickly, Austin Hooper, is that just what is this, John?
Oh, so I mean, I think Austin. I mean, I think he looked pretty good, and he was like this. He got a pretty decent volume from Matt Ryan. So he was a third tight end. Like we had bids in for Mark Andrews, Waller, and Hooper. Yeah. So we just need to get rid of Gronk. So.
And Gardner Minshew, the second, Dustin.
Yeah, I'm excited. I always like. Meme potential on my team, and this guy has it. This guy is a flat out star in terms of meme potential. So, like really excited. We needed a third quarterback anyway, and we got him for really cheap. So like, like really no risk for us at all. And we're pretty excited to see if he can follow up like his pretty good first week with like, a stretch of pretty good games. Like he was actually pretty good in college. Like he doesn't have like a outstanding arm, but like, who knows? Like maybe he's overlooked in the draft and breaking out. So
yeah, I think he could be good. I'm not.
He looked really
familiar
good
with him, honestly, but the memes—that's all I know.
The
about
memes, him. Yeah. I mean the memes alone just gives him a spot on my team.
Yeah, if I had a spot for a QB3, I would have had him there too. But it's a pity. And just quickly, I'll also just highlight Deion Kane for Warren here. I think that's a great pickup.
Yep.
With Devin Funchess going down. We don't know exactly who's going to be taking over the third wide receiver slot there, but Deion Kane is really talented, a second-year player.
We'll missed all of last year due to injury.
Due to injury, so I think
and
that
then
could have long-term potential.
The pause with Jimmy Graham, I think that's such a Qua move because he was definitely like the lowest TE available or one of the lower ones,
Yeah.
and he got $1. So that's straight value right there.
The finger questionable.
I do think that I like Qua is one of the teams that I thought would put in a pretty big bid, but you know, we'll never know how close he was. Maybe he was just off by $1, or maybe he didn't think anyone would guarantee their contracts. We'll never know. But yeah, like, yeah, I mean, you know, Jimmy Graham for $1, like for $1, you'll definitely take it.
Sure.
Rodgers always talks about trying to get him the ball more, and like he's probably a decent bet for a touchdown, especially with how much attention Devontae Adams always gets. So not terrible.
And Yonkers is pretty good at picking up the handcuffs.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
got Ty Montgomery now, but already on top of the Malcolm Brown that he has.
Yeah, he's just
collecting.
vulturing. Yeah.
Yeah, he's collecting a lot of upside.
And he got Giovanni Bernard.
Yeah,
he's all over
Giovanni
it.
Bernard. Yeah, that's another one.
He's all over it.
Yep, that's Jay. So I think with that, if you guys have anything else with the waiver wire, I think that's pretty much it.
Nope, I think that's good.
Let's talk about the lines for next week. So
okay.
Oh yeah, so I forgot to mention I got 2 points from last time because I got 2 of them right. So how does the you don't?
No, it's 4-1. It's 4-1.
Oh, 4-1. Okay, my bad.
You the line maker wins if the person who picked wrong picked wrong. Oh my
god.
So yeah, you killed me week 1.
Man. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, you set the first one this time since I went first last time.
Oh boy, and you can comment whenever you want, John.
Yeah, if you think a line is like too high or too low, then you can give your input.
Yeah, feel free to just jump in. I'm gonna go Harlem plus 25.
Plus 25 against Ken, right?
Region, yeah.
That's the one I was like looking at before the show and thinking like, what is a high enough line? I'm gonna take Capital Region. I was thinking about what line I could give you, and I had it like around 28, but yeah, I mean 25 is a lot. Like anything could happen, so that's actually a pretty decent line. All right, I'll give you. So Mars versus Flushing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mars -8.
I'm gonna take Flushing.
Flushing.
That's close though. That line is close, so it's.
Yeah, I like Flushing's team. I like, and you know, John got a lot of good performances out of, you know, wide receivers that might not be able to replicate it. So I think that one's going to be an interesting one this week for sure.
But also, no, -8 is actually -5 because I started off with 3 points.
Sure, I know.
Yeah. Including, we're counting that. So
we're counting that. Yeah, are you just gonna take that though, John?
No, again, like I think it's pretty fair. And Flushing is not a team to like. It's a scary team.
Yeah, so. I know. And Derek Carr plays Kansas City. I mean, that could be a big shootout, and you know, like that's always good. And Deshaun Watson is Deshaun Watson, so you know, there's definitely some potential here.
Yeah. All right. So I'm setting the next line here. I'm gonna go with Virginia versus Great Kills. Ooh, this one's hard.
This one's real hard.
I'd argue the last. Actually, like most of these are pretty hard, except for one matchup. I think setting the lines for most of these is pretty hard.
I agree.
I'll go Virginia -5.
I'll take Great Kills +5.
Nice.
I'm just telling you, I'm not gonna bet against my team all year. So if you could probably just hit me with like, you know, some pretty bad lines, and I'd probably just keep falling for it.
Dang.
Okay. Yonkers, New England, even.
Man.
Just flat even. Pick him.
I'll go Yonkers. I'm mostly gonna stay away from Benny on my team.
Because then at least you'll be right in this game.
Yeah.
Hedging your bets, I like it. And then the last one?
Yeah, LSC Oakland. I'll go LSC plus 8.
Wow. +8. That's actually pretty close to what I was thinking.
This one's a close one too.
Man. This one I really have no good feeling on which way to lean. Let me just check their matchups real quick. Mhm. I'll take Oakland. I'll take
Yeah.
Oakland. I like some of their matchups. But I could see this one going either way. Like Warren's team probably isn't gonna start 0-2, so I
Antonio
might be.
Brown back. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bit. Yeah, I'm probably playing into a trap, but whatever. I'll take it.
Any thoughts there, John?
No thoughts.
Okay. Well, if that's it, we're done.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks for coming on, John.
All right, thanks guys for hosting. This is great. You guys are great.
So John, can you guarantee a championship on air?
I've learned my lesson to not test karma.
Are you wait?
Ooh.
All right. Here's another question. Are you trying this year or not?
I can't answer any questions like that.
Ah, damn, he's too smart.
Wow.
No comments.
I think if you had the year that I had last year,
Some media training.
Yeah.
you would do the same. Yes. Oh, but I do want to mention being on the media team is great. So.
Oh yeah, good work, John.
Yeah.
Just
Now you get to vote every week.
No, yeah, it's definitely fun. It's definitely an adjustment. Like ranking the teams is definitely harder than I thought. So I just want to give kudos to the media team for doing it so well these past years.
Right. And can you put $signs before the number from now on? I'm just kidding.
The mind to text is too strong though.
Yeah, I know. You're definitely saying it out loud as you like write it, and then it just comes out in the order that you think it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
So,
good work.
if you guys don't forget the pigskin pick'em for tonight, make sure to do that. I always
Yeah,
almost
we're-
forget this. Make sure to go do that. Other than that, we're out. Peace.
All right,
So-
later.